Did I lose you? Did I? Did I? Did I lose you? Hi everyone, welcome back to Backyard Conversations with me, Alitzy. I hope y'all are having a beautiful day. Welcome to Ep.2. I decided to film today because just I've been having so many awakenings happen right now. This is 2 days before the full moon in Aries. So I'm just very excited. I've been reading a lot about like the energy that's coming in, and also just tapping into my own energy and what I've been picking up on, and also like we're going into the year of the 8 and like how numerology is everything. There's so many things that I've been aligning with. So yeah, let's get into today's episode. So I just got back from going on an hour walk, and that was like my workout for today. I woke up, got ready, and still showed up for myself how I needed to, which I'm really proud of, because last night I saw this video that was talking about how whatever you're doing, like what matters, what is going to bring you more money, what is going to bring you more income is going to be your consistency at whatever you're doing. And that's kind of been something that I've been trying to apply in my life. Not even learn, because it's not even about learning, it's about doing, like taking the action and doing it. But that's something that I started last night, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. I was supposed to wake up at 6 in the morning and go on a run, but I literally fell asleep at like 3 at night. So I didn't do that, but once I was able to wake up, and once I was like, okay, I know my body, I'm gonna listen to my body, but I'm gonna still show up for myself by going outside and doing what I said I was gonna go do. So I just got back from doing that. I went on a walk because I'm about to start my moon cycle as well. So I'm taking it easy. So yeah, I just got back from doing that, and it was actually really fun. I was listening to music. I ended up making this like workout playlist that I just started, and yeah, I got ready. I brushed my teeth in the morning. I was like saying my affirmations, and I went out. And while I was out, I was just observing and giving thanks for the fact that I can go out and walk, and like, you know, even if I was scared, I know that I'm still safe, if that makes sense. So yeah, I went out and people were walking as well, walking their dogs, and I was saying hi to people, and I was like just, you know, living in my truth and in my natural state of being, instead of like thinking about all the fear or anything like that, or the worry. And when there was worry, I would like check my surroundings and be like, I actually didn't have anything to worry about. And also, when something did happen, not like major, but like when someone was like walking behind me or something, I felt it in my energy, and I turned around and I saw the person walking. The freaking fly just landed on my drink. So having that experience was like, oh, my intuition got me. Like my intuition's gonna tell me if anything, like, you know, if anything happens, or my intuition is here for me. And that was just like some reassurance for myself this morning. Yeah. Last night I had this whole like intervention with myself where I was aligning with the truth of what's been my reality recently. As y'all know, I recently moved out of my mom's house, and I moved into a new house, and I'm living with my middle sister, and it's been such an interesting journey, like from so many different things, and just kind of observing her in her own energy, but then noticing the differences and like what aligns and what doesn't align and all that. And last night I had a whole like alignment moment where a lot of people would call it like awakening, but it's really alignment because it's always been here, but I just had to align with the truth and the reality, um, which I'm gonna get to talking about that in a little bit. Um, but anyways, yeah, last night I just had a whole like conversation with my ancestors and spirit guides where I was like sobbing, and um but before that I was like listening to a podcast, and everything the podcast was saying like I just resonated with, and like it was just like yes, like literally my energy was like yes. It was like this billionaire talking, and everything that he was saying, I was like, my energy, my body, mind and spirit was like yes, that's me, yes, that's me, yes, I do that, yes, this, yes, I'm a billionaire, yes, I hold seminars, yes, I help people, and all these things. And um I was watching the podcast, and he was talking about how um a lot of people talk about how the law of attraction is like the main thing on how you can bring in your manifestations. But he was saying how the truth of that is what is it called, the law of vibration, which is how you actually bring in all your manifestations and everything that is your reality, because everything at the capacity at which you vibrate is the capacity which the universe reflects that to you. And he was like going into depth about that, and I can't remember his name, but I'll link the podcast in the description. But it was also with Jay Shetty, and they were just having a whole conversation, and they had many different people on the podcast in this one episode. And one of the girls was also talking about how she still plays, even though she's like a business person, or like she has like a company or something, she still dances. Like she dances and has that space for herself, because that's her play. And she was talking about how like it's the balancement of both, and she talks about her story, her personal story. But I was like just resonating so much with the fact that like it's the law of vibration at which you manifest your dream reality. And I was just like, oh my god, that is so freaking true, like yes. And then I had a whole realization that I was like unhappy here, and that I wasn't like, I was like questioning myself. I was like, why, if I'm unhappy here, I was like, then why am I even here? Why was I placed in this position? Why did I choose this if I'm unhappy here? Or if it's no longer resonating, then why am I choosing this? Or why am I here? And I realized that the answer to that question is because I was having a whole lesson to learn. After getting out of the house where I was living at with my mom and my parent, my parent and my older sister, like living in such an environment that is very toxic and chaotic, like I was learning all these things, but it was building my my discipline to myself. And I actually talked about this in one of my friends' podcasts called the podcast is called The Sacred Jellyfish by Luca, such a divine being. But I was talking about how a lot of people talk about how you can't grow where you've been hurt, and I talked about how a lot of people talk about that, and I completely understand that. But also, when you do grow in a place where you've been hurt over and over, it builds so much, I want to say the word stamina, but I'm not sure if that's the right word to use. It builds so much like discipline and knowledge within yourself that me personally, I feel like is so valuable to me now, because it's what's disciplined me to love myself so deeply, to be able to let go of people like that, to not hold any attachment to things, to not like, do like specific things, or to know what I want in my life. It's built so much discipline when it comes to who I am and how I love myself. Um, but I also realized that while I was living there, um, there was so much like judgment and pressure at the same time, that I feel like maybe all the lessons that I learned, like I probably learned them, but to a certain capacity. Um, but anyways, all of this that I'm saying is because the lesson that I've been learning recently, um, and realize, oh, and realize that I've been learning this whole time that I've been here, was the lesson of no longer judging myself and accepting myself and seeing myself, and um, saying yes to myself, and loving myself and receiving myself. And um, an example that I can give for that is like, um, in the podcast, they were also talking about how sometimes, like, when you see something that someone doesn't like, or when you don't like something, I meant to say, when you don't like something, or uh, you you think that something is bad, or all this and that, like whatever, you have a negative perspective of something, or you feel a certain type of way, ask yourself, what is that reflecting from within? I can't remember the exact words that the person used, but he was saying something along the lines of that, of like, anytime you see a reflection of something that you don't like, or that is like judgment, from your perspective, like if you're like, oh, why did they just do that, or you shouldn't be doing that, love my throat chakra, or you shouldn't be doing that, or like, oh no, like this, or stuff like that type of perspective, or that type of reaction, it's because it's triggering something within yourself, it's reflecting something within yourself. But that's when you do have a reaction to it, if that makes sense. um, I need to stop saying if that makes sense, because I say that a lot. But anyways, basically, when you have a reaction instead of a response to something, it's because it's triggering something within yourself, which is your inner body being like, hey, this is why you're having a reaction to it, because blah blah within yourself. And this is the lesson of judgment that I've been learning this whole entire time. Like, even though I didn't know that that's what I was learning, I was experiencing that until now, where I aligned with the full circle moment, where the cycle is like now ending, where basically I was like judging so many things that my sister was doing. And yeah, we have such different lifestyles. My sister's a Christian, and obviously, like, I'm queer, and I am into spirituality, and I tap into the energy of the universe, and I know numerology and all these things. And it never like got between us or anything like that. We would both respect each other's perspectives, but regardless, there are still things where obviously I don't align with her religion and her beliefs. And I was like questioning myself and also the universe, because I was like, we're such polar opposites. Like, what is happening? Like, why am I here? And I was like, I know the universe would have already removed me like that. So I was like asking myself, I was like, okay, what am I learning here? And it was the lesson of judgment, and no longer judging myself, and accepting myself and seeing myself as a lesbian, as a queer person, and in this existence. we always have the instant reflection. There's so many things that go into it, but this is one example. As a queer person, as a lesbian, we always have the reflection that Christianity and people who are Christian think that being queer is bad and like we're going to hell and all these things, right? And although that might be true, it's not even about their religion, but it's more so about accepting myself. I recently had this realization as well when it came to my sexuality, like when it came to my pride flag. I've been having some personal stuff going on because of my sister and like her own family and her ex-husband's homophobicness and all that, right? And their belief system, which is fine. You do you. Because I'm not taking it personal, but I had talked to my sister. I was like, okay, like if we go there, like if we move into his house, I know he doesn't like my pride flag, and I was like willing to not put up my pride flag so for our situation to be respectful and work out for each other. And I realized that I had an attachment to my pride flag because I felt like it kind of represented me as a person and as a queer person specifically, and kind of my sexuality. And although it does, and it like celebrates queerness and LGBTQ community, like although it does do that, I know within myself who I am, if that makes sense. And I didn't need something materialistic to like represent that for me when I know my truth. And yeah, and I was like having this conversation with my sister as well too. And I will say though, like even if my sister has her own belief systems about being queer and stuff like that, she still respects me as a person. She still respects what I do and what I stand for and all this stuff, right? And she still asks for advice and all that stuff. But anyways, regardless, there's still like such a difference that's like not in alignment, but it all came down to the reality of having to accept myself and know my truth and see myself and receive myself and say yes to myself, and no longer judge myself for what I want to do and who I am. And all of that aligned with this whole lesson of judgment, where I was like having moments where my sister would be doing something or not doing something, and I'd be judging it, or feel so like my response and my reaction to whatever she was doing would be so much judgment and like so much anger within myself. I wouldn't put it out there, but it just be happening within myself. Like I just feel so angry and so frustrated with what they were or weren't doing. And anytime that would happen, I'd be like, why am I feeling that? Like what? And then I brush it off. So I wouldn't really tap into it. But last night I had that realization, and I was like, okay, what's the lesson here? And like I was like, it's literally the lesson of judgment, because I was judging her so much. But I realized that it's not because I was judging her, but I was judging myself at the things that I was like judging that she was doing. I was like, oh, I'm judging that because I realized that whenever I do the same thing, I realize that I hate myself when I do those things. I hate when I think that I have to rest, or I hate when I have to rest, because in my mind it's like, oh, I should be doing something, or like I'm not worthy enough if I'm not doing something, or I need to keep working and keep achieving these things and going towards my goals and doing all these things. And although I do love doing all these things and I love working and all these things, it's literally inscripted in my birthday, like being a hard worker and like achieving all these goals and dreams. But that doesn't mean that I have to devalue myself when I do rest and enjoy my life and I'm in my divine feminine energy and just like living and thriving. But I realized that was the lesson. Like I realized that I was judging her so much because realistically I was judging myself, because she was reflecting the versions of me that I think aren't worthy enough to be loved or be loving towards myself in. So for example, like whenever like she'd be doing like nothing all day and just in bed, and this is also like there's like different levels to this. Obviously, like there's many different levels to this. This is just like one little slip of information that y'all are getting, but there's many different correlations to different things. So yeah, for example, say if she was like laying in bed all day, not doing nothing and all this stuff, I'd be like, in my brain I'd be like, oh my god, why can't she just get up and do something, or why can't she just get up and like help me with this or do this or clean the room, or why can't she just get up and do this, or like why couldn't she just wash her dishes. Like all those things are judging me, because how I view myself is like, I have to do it right then and there. I have to do it right then and there because that's the energy that I'm on. I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I realize now that I actually have watched my mom do that all the time. Like she'd be like, okay, like let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go. And me personally, I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually love that that's how I process my life, and I love that that's how I I love my work ethic when it comes to that. But all that judgment was also reflecting like all the areas in myself where I can love myself in. And I realize that it's not that I don't love myself, but I realize that whenever I do those things, I feel like she was judging me, or she'd think that I'm lazy because she's made comments like that. But regardless, like I shouldn't take it personally, because it's not personal. It's because she's having the same reflection of herself, of when I'm resting, she thinks it's not worthy enough because she thinks she's not worthy enough within herself. So we were literally reflecting these things back and forth. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I know that she's not even aware of these things because, again, she's a Christian. She has her own belief system. But I know I'm aware of this now. And as I'm becoming aware of this, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're literally reflecting each other's spaces of the capacity to which we think we can love ourselves. And it's so interesting to be in alignment with that, because I'm just like, wow. So instead of like me judging, I'm rephrasing it to like either me helping, or me in my brain being like, oh, you are worthy of resting. I am worthy of resting. I can rest whenever I want, no matter what anybody says. And that also ties into like the projections. Like when she said stuff or made little comments, it's her own projection, but I know that's not me. But even then, it's still hard. Like sometimes, like when you have family, like you don't want them to be rude to you. Like what the fuck? So even hearing comments like that can really take a toll on you and be like, well, what the fuck? Like fuck off then. Like why are you even in my life? Type thing. I know it's all like we're in different stages, but I realized that that's the lesson that I was learning while I was staying here and living here, was that lesson of like I have to find myself worthy enough to do and express myself already, to love myself already. And although she was projecting a lot of judgment as well, I realized that I was also then I was taking it personal and then judging myself when it came to expressing myself and resting and doing the things that I wanted to be doing. Another example would be like, I love dancing, I love twerking because it's a sacred dance, it's a sacred movement. I think everyone should dance because it's literally a sacred practice too. Um, but I like I love doing all that. So I'll post things about it. I'll share my experience when it comes to dancing, all these things. And um and my sister will judge it. She'll say, "Oh yeah, so you can like twerk." And I've talked about this before. I don't think I actually uploaded that video, but I've talked about how it's not the words that you say, but the energy which you speak your words. And um yeah, and this is also something that I've learned recently, where it's not even what my sister says, but and I'm talking about a lot about my sister because this is the experience that I'm having in this very moment, that I've been having for the past few months. Love my sister, great person, love her, but this is the experience. So I was talking about how it's not the words that you actually say, but the energy at which you speak your words. And what I mean by that is like, whenever I would talk, whenever I had that one conversation about how I want more space to dance in our room, and I wanted more room so that I can practice dance and all that, um, her words were, "Oh yeah, so you can twerk." See the difference between how I just said that right now? Her words were, "Oh yeah, so you can twerk," but her tone was, "Oh yeah, so you can twerk." Do y'all see the difference? If she would have said, "Oh yeah, so you can twerk," like that sounds more of a high vibrational, like a positive thing, like encouraging thing. But her tone was, her energy was, "Oh yeah, so you can twerk." Do y'all see? Do y'all notice the difference between the words that you actually say don't even matter. It's more so at the vibration at which you are vibrating at. What I just said in the beginning of the freaking this whole episode. It's literally the vibration at which you vibrate at which you're going to manifest all the things in your dream reality. And so it is. Literally. So last night I had this whole intervention where I was like realizing all these things, where I was aligning with the alignment of the lesson that I'm currently learning, which is the judgment lesson, and also speaking up and setting my boundaries. And I've actually been really, really good at speaking up and setting my boundaries, and I'm round of applause for myself for doing that and showing up for myself and valuing my time and my energy. So yeah, that's what I've been learning these past few months, is the lesson of judgment. And this also goes like within myself. When I was outside earlier, I was walking past this house. When I first passed there, I saw the guy and the dog, and I said hi to them. And then when I was walking back, the lady was there, and she just kept staring at me. Like, I can feel her energy. She just kept staring at me. Um, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna take it personally. It doesn't matter what she thinks or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I know that I'm living in my truth, and I know that I'm thriving. And whether she was judging me for whatever it was, whatever she was thinking in her own energy, like, that's her energy and that's not me. And at the end of the day, I'm still me. So yeah, that was just also like, there's a difference when someone is projecting and when you're actually judging yourself, obviously. But yeah, my nose just got so itchy. And yeah, the I feel like I've learned the lesson of like when people are projecting, and I can tell instantly when people are projecting. So I know it's like, I don't take offense to that, because it's like, it's not about me, it's about how they view themselves. But I was also realizing how I was judging, and I know that I wasn't projecting to them, but I know that that's what was going on within me. I feel like I really mastered, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say it at all. And I actually saw this clip of We Said What We Said podcast. If you know, you know, with Ricky Thompson. Um, I saw a clip where his best friend was like, if I don't have anything nice to say, I'll just be like, mm-hmm. And I literally do that all the time, even with my sister. Like, if she's talking about, like, God and her religion, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, cool. I have nothing to add to that. Good for you. And I'd be like, interesting. Even this morning, she was saying how she was, like, praying to cast away any demons and all this stuff. And I was like, cool. I know I'm good, but cool for you. So yeah, it's like learning when people are projecting and learning if you're projecting and having that self-awareness and holding yourself accountable for when you do those things. And also like just seeing like if you ever judge anything, like why are you judging it? And also I had this experience, I had this moment where I've said before on here that I don't want to smoke and I don't want to drink and I don't want to, I don't, that it doesn't interest me. But when I was with my ex, that was something that they did like every single day and like medicinal stuff and like consistently. And it got to a point where I was like, I actually don't want anything to do with that or with you if that is going to be your vibration, which is perfectly acceptable for both, for them to experience that and for me to say no thank you. But there was a projection in that where they thought that I hated medicinal healing herbs, and I hated like all these medicinal medicines, or like all these plant-based medicines, when that wasn't my viewpoint on it. I think healing with medicine is very sacred. I think it should only be done in specific times, and people shouldn't depend on it. But a lot of people use it as a form of escapism. And I will hold people accountable when they are doing that. So yeah, being raised around alcoholics and people who fucking do drugs and are addicted to these things, like, I'm not tolerating any of that. So, like, yeah, it's very blunt. It's very blunt, it's very on point. I was judging my sister, and it's all because I was judging myself because I thought I had to, and that I couldn't find myself worthy enough if I was doing certain stuff or if I wasn't. So yeah, it's all what I was learning. Anyways, last night I realized that I didn't want to make myself feel small anymore, and that I didn't want to dim my light anymore, regardless of what anyone thought. And I realized that I make myself small, and I dim my own light based off how other people perceive me. Or I guess not necessarily perceive me, but based off what they think of me, based off their energy, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, but I realized that I used to make myself feel so small. If somebody else was judging me, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'm doing too much, but realistically I'm not doing enough. Like, actually, I'm not even going to say that I'm doing enough, because I'm doing just the right amount. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But I like dim my light based off other people's comfortability. Like, if they felt uncomfortable that I was like confident in myself, then I'd be like, bring it down a little bit. But now it's like, I'm gonna be confident regardless. If that triggers you, then that triggers you. Deal with it. Thank you. So anyways, yeah, I brought out all my art that I used to have. I brought out my vision board. And another thing is, I feel like I used to make myself feel so small in the past because I didn't want people to tap into my energy or what I was doing or what motivates me and all these things, because I was raised around women who are always competing with each other. And I'm sure I've done that within myself, and I know I have. because I was raised around that, and because I was raised with like such toxic environment, um I felt like everyone was always going to belittle what makes me happy. So I would always like hide like my art, or I would always hide just things that motivate me and make me happy. But last night, like I was saying, like I literally brought out all my books. I brought out my vegan, practically vegan recipe book, because that makes me happy. I brought out my vision board, and I was like, you know what? I don't care if anyone sees. I'm gonna display it out, and like I'm gonna put it up because it makes me happy. It's what celebrates me, and my energy. So I'm gonna do that. So, anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about what I've been learning recently, which is the lesson of judgment, and kind of having this whole alignment. And I was listening to, again, I'll put the podcast in the description. But yeah, I was just having that whole moment where I was like, oh, I was I was dealing with this because I was learning the lesson of loving myself and accepting all of myself, and not being shy to be myself anymore, not dimming my light anymore. Um, and I can see how now all of this ties together, because even before last night, I was having this realization where I was like, you know what, I'm going to accept myself fully and wholly, and I'm going to accept all of me. I'm going to accept how I think, who I was, what I was, and who I'm choosing to be now. And I've made mistakes, and I'm going to accept those too, because I did do those things. Maybe I could have been a better friend. Maybe I could have been a better sister, a better person. But that was me protecting myself in that moment and protecting my energy. And now I'm learning more, and I'm learning who I want to be, and I'm accepting that too, and I'm accepting my dream reality now. I'm no longer gonna dim myself for other people's comfort, and I'm gonna celebrate myself, because I deserve celebrating regardless of what anyone thinks. Um, you know, and yeah. To end this off, there's this poetry book that I bought a long time ago, this self love, and y'all see how clean this actually is. I bought it a while ago, and I never really read it, but there's this one page that I came across last night, which is page 4, and it says, Left Brain Thinkers. I thought this would be the year I get everything I want. Now I know this is the year I appreciate everything I have. And I wanted to read that because I read that and I was like, wow. So much of life has been spent on like a lot of people wishing that they already had everything that they want, and like just like wishing that they can have everything they want, and like wishing that they had this or that and this and that. But so little of us like actually have the experience of being grateful for what we already have. And even me, I know I could always be more grateful for what I've experienced and what I do have, because regardless, like I still have a roof over my head. The universe is always providing for me. The universe never lets me go without. The universe always makes sure I have fresh fruit and organic fruit in my fridge and in my space, and for me to nurture my body with. And the universe is always making sure that I am provided for. And I know I can give more thanks to that, and also give thanks like with my ancestors that I work with. So anyways, yeah, this book is called Self-Love Poetry by Melody Godfried. And yeah, I thought this would be the year I get everything I want. Now I know this is the year I appreciate everything I have. Expectation closed my eyes. Gratitude opened them. Fear closed my eyes. Trust opened them. Complaining closed my eyes. Appreciation opened them. Perfection closed my eyes. Authenticity opened them. Guilt closed my eyes. Self-love opened them. I love that so much. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then I was also writing a bunch of affirmations I actually have an affirmation ASMR video that's going to be going up as well. By the time this is up, it should be going up soon. But I was writing a bunch of affirmations last night and just really tapping into my own energy. And although there's a lesson that is being learned here, that doesn't diminish the fact that there are things that don't align. So yeah, I know that I'm here because I'm learning these lessons, and I'm learning to love myself as I learn these lessons, and love other people as they learn their own lessons as well. And yeah, as we all grow together, like, I know we are all worthy of love, but that also brings up the fact that I know it's my, like, that also brings up the fact that I know what I want and who I want to be surrounded by. And yeah, although I love my sister and I know she loves me and we both want the best for each other, I know that there's also a lot of things that don't correlate with each other. So yeah, so it's like me having my own friend group, having my own communities and stuff like that, and her having her own friend group and communities as well. But at the same time, we are a lot similar than we think we are separate, or than I think that I'm separate. So yeah, it's like learning to accept all of that and love all of that and appreciate all of that. But also knowing who I want to be surrounded by, and still loving my sister, if that makes sense, and giving thanks for all of that growth. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's going to end off this episode. Thank you for watching. I love you. Let me know if anything ever resonated with you at all, whether it be from the law of vibration to the judgment to the self-acceptance to the poem I just read, to the energy that you're tapping into in this time. I would love to hear anyone else's thoughts, comments, energy updates, where you're at in your own journey. And also comment down anything that you guys would like for me to talk about, any lessons that you've been learning, anything that interests you. So yeah, I love y'all, and I'm sending you lots of love and alignment for wherever you're at in your journey. I am going to journal, finish my breakfast, and then I'm gonna go rest. I'm gonna go rest after this, and I also have to shower. So anyways, I love y'all, and I will see you in the next one.